Hi there. This is Jim Horan, the Keys bartender, coming to you from Key Largo. Yeah, your neighbor was.
Yes.
It is episode 168.
168.
I'm here with
Jenna's
Jenna
loud
Kelly.
neighbor.
Yeah, this is Jim. And our neighbor was saying there was a fire, like the Notre Dame fire.
Right. Well, he's smoking something over there. I think
yeah?
he's using his smoker, and I keep seeing the fire go across.
Is it his Easter ham? That'd be kind of appropriate.
It would. Well, goodness.
Considering it was Notre Dame. Yeah.
Jeez. That's terrible.
Oh, today's episode is called the Accidental Hate Tattoo.
Oh, goodness.
Or Fascist Tattoo or Nazi Tattoo.
Or Nazi tattoo.
We'll go into that later. Some of the things I wanted to talk to you about. To you personally.
To me.
Wasn't about that. Wasn't about that. I realize whenever I feel unoriginal and stupid, and I'm sitting at home and I got extra time, I just turn on C-SPAN call-in. And any manner of assholes call up, and they'll just call up, and the guy sits there. Have you ever seen it?
No.
Okay. Well, folks, if you listen to this, I know this doesn't have a lot, but this is the topics I bring into the bar. So the guy sits there and he reads different news. It's C-SPAN, so all they do is facts. What's in front of the legislature, what people said. In C-SPAN they have Library of Congress,
right.
A speech someone
No
gives in
opinions,
the Library.
all facts.
Now, but on the call-in show, the guy sits there and he reads, and he'll have 3 phone numbers, and he'll have for Democrat, Republican, and Independent, and invariably every so often, and it happens. All the people can be idiots. All the people are idiots. Sometimes that call up. Some are intelligent.
Okay.
But I think more and more over the years, it used to be because not everyone had cable, so the people would call in were smart enough. They paid for a cable package and stuff like that. Now that every asshole in the world has it, they know what and they kind of squeezed out other people, so no one calls up anymore that has a cogent, intelligent, linear thinking. Like, you don't have the great debates of yesteryear where you have a conservative point and a liberal point, a progressive point. You just have assholes calling up.
Assholes.
Of all.
They should make like.
And then one particular time, they were. A guy called up on a Democrat. Well, I used to be a Democrat. Now I'm like, well, you called in on the Democrat line, you asshole. So now you're doing your own thing. But you know what? I just turn it on and I go, oh, okay. And they barely have any point whatsoever.
Just talking. Themselves talk.
I'm not saying I have the biggest, best point, but I try to have a point to every conversation that I have. These guys come in and they'll spout their opinion, which... Not even in an editorial piece, someone will try to base some logic on their opinion. They'll bring in some type of fact, agreed upon fact. But when you don't have a grasp of the facts, you just speak your opinion, and that's it. And there's legitimate on either side. But I do feel better. That's like when you're in a crowded bar and someone's, you get drunk and you go, wait a second. At least I'm not as drunk as Larry. And Larry's laying in the corner pissing himself, right? And stuff like that. Or if you're a guy or a girl and you say, well, I'm a whore. Well, at least I'm not a big a slut as Leslie.
Right.
I just picked that name off the top of my head.
The
if I have any listeners.
comparison.
Yeah, the comparisons.
Yes.
I'm not. So on C-SPAN, it's at least I'm not a big asshole as someone that calls into C-SPAN. So I wouldn't do.
That's your rationale.
That's my rationale. If I want to feel better about myself, or I can always call. I can look at one of those television reality judge shows where they have bogus judges judging on shitty cases.
Yes.
And it's much like the yesteryear. Did I ever
It's
tell you
like
my sister was on Sally Jesse Raphael?
Sally Jesse Raphael.
She was on it.
No way.
Yeah, she was on it.
And then they tell you to boo boo when the other person comes out, and then it's always. I was actually watching.
She told me
it
was over 20 years ago, maybe 30 years ago.
What was she on there for?
Men who were overly jealous of their wives, and what they did is they stuck the girls in a green room with lots of champagne and stuff like that, and the guys are stuck in a shitty room with nothing, maybe water and access to a bathroom, and they just get them all pissed off. And they get them all pissed off, so when they come out, they just start acting like an asshole. And they actually had Carol Alt, the model.
Carol Alt. Yes.
Alt.
Yes. Okay.
That was my Philly accent. Carol Alt and her hockey playing husband, and someone else, and my sister. And I think I lasted 5 minutes. And Peg was telling us, I said, "Oh, is this your campaign on bringing honor and to our family? Because it's not working."
Oh.
It's not working. It's like whenever they show up on, whenever anybody tells you they're going to be on a show, "Oh, I'm going to be on a show," and I go, "Oh,
great!
What kind of show could it? What kind of show is going? If it's one of those reality courtroom shows,
Sally Jesse
or what's his name? Who's the guy that sent her to Cincinnati?
Is that Maury?
No, Maury was married to the.
Wait. What's the?
The guy that gives a little speech at the end of it. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Not Donahue.
No.
Donahue was years ago.
Oh, Donahue.
It was the 80s up until late 80s.
I can't remember. There was.
God, the guy that Steve used to work for, the guy Steve the bouncer, he had a shaved head, and he had bouncers on the show, and stuff like that.
I'm just trying to think of all the.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I think so.
And at the end, he'd have all these shitty people on it, and then he'd try to go, "What's the moral of our story today?" And start giving these, sit there looking at the camera. I said, "You just have these despicable people on,
right.
And then you're trying to talk to the people that are listening,
and
the people that are cheering on him, like they go, well, I know what I got. Oh yeah, I was sleeping. I'm married to him. Yeah, I was sleeping to his brother and his father.
Oh,
they're all proud of it when that happens. It's all good times. So, we got a little dog.
Yeah, sorry, we have a dog invasion.
Yeah.
At the moment.
So, yeah. Oh, don't hit the.
Yeah, right. Don't hit the equipment.
Yeah. So that's what he would do. I forget the guy's name.
I'm just trying to think of all of them, and I can think of, of course, there was the Sally Jesse Raphael. There was Oprah was not in that same category.
Tyler, what was the name of the guy that you used to have the talk show, and the guy Steve, the bald head,
Steve
was the bouncer?
Are you talking about Steve the black guy?
No, Steve was a white guy.
Steve,
it was one of those shows. Well, you had Maury Povich,
right?
Sally Jesse Raphael, and this guy was the last one. Jerry Springer.
Jerry Springer.
That's right. Okay. Jerry Springer. It always eventually comes back.
And
then you'd look at them and you go, I could watch them maybe a half hour. Maury Povich got famous for bringing, and we all know this, and it's funny that when a woman comes on and she's had 4 guys on to say that they're this is your baby, that this guy definitely is the father of the baby. I mean, they have to know. And it seemed like they were manufacturing it. And just the idea that you're manufacturing just to get on TV and be ridiculed and be laughed at by people, it's pitiful.
Well, Sally Jesse Raphael had issues because and I remember her going off air for some weird, something happened where there was a murder afterwards.
Oh, yes.
Right?
She revealed something to someone. It was crushes. Secret crush.
Yep.
It was a guy who had a secret crush on
got,
another guy.
Right.
And the guy
that they invited to the show to have it revealed to him was not told.
Was not
that
told,
it was a man.
Well, that guy was homophobic.
And he freaked out, was humiliated.
And then he killed himself.
And he killed the guy. He didn't kill himself. He murdered the guy who brought him on to reveal the secret crush.
Well, it's got to be on.
Yeah,
the power's on over here.
We have power.
Yeah, you got power. Yeah.
But Sally Jesse Raphael was also
the
known
light's
to be
not on my
a nasty
thing over there, but it's on.
But her staff,
because it wouldn't have power on there anyway.
Her staff was known to lie to all the guests.
Well, that's what
and
they all did.
Came out with them. So
Joey Springer did too.
Here's the thing: we're going to bring you on the show to give you a makeover, and then yet you're not there for a makeover. You're there because your husband cheated on you and had 3 kids with this other woman,
and they're going to bring the other woman
wanted to confront you about it. So it was like this horrible thing of like these nasty actual people that did terrible things to each other, and the one innocent party that had no idea was invited on for a makeover, and that wasn't what. If we had to come up with content based on humiliating people. I would be.
I mean, just some people I do. Some people invite humiliation on themselves because they're assholes. Yes. Once again, they go back to the assholes. Mm-hmm. And I'll go on.
At least I'm not as big of an asshole as they are.
You're not an asshole whatsoever. I mean, just because. No, I'm saying you're not an asshole. I'm a little bit of an asshole. Everybody's a little bit of an asshole. Yeah. But I mean, that's kind of potato with that. I think an asshole is a way. I think it's a way of life where that's the way you do things. Like if you have a big truck and you park your truck blocking the only charging station at a place, you're an asshole.
Right.
If you take your shopping cart and leave it just in the middle of the fucking lane in a handicap zone, you're an asshole. If you just willy-nilly use the bathroom, and that's usually drunk people and stuff like that. They're not assholes.
Sometimes
they're just
drunk
sick.
People are
I think they're just. I just think they're. I don't think so. I think they're. I would treat it. I'm not saying you're. I'm not saying. I am saying that alcoholism has been diagnosed as an illness, but what I'm saying is you're not of sound mind when you're drunk. Now, that may make you an asshole for doing it all the time.
So that's your drunk self is an asshole.
The drunking, not the actions you do. Deciding to be drunk.
I saw a meme earlier today that even said that if you have a problem with what I did with my drunk self, then wait to talk to me about it when I'm my drunk self, but don't have this conversation with me when I'm my sober self. I wasn't even there.
I've done that before. I've had to sit through those conversations and hear them talk about drunk Jim.
Oh,
what they did. One time, I ran into a guy, and I had drank too much, and he came up and gave me in all certain terms. He didn't appreciate the way I spoke to his wife. I did not have a leg to stand on. I did not know what I did.
You didn't remember what
I didn't
said.
remember, so I'm sitting there listening to him. I don't have the id in you or the super ego wants to go, well, fuck you. Your wife's a whore then if she lets me come on to her and stuff like that. I don't say that.
Right.
I realize and go, oh.
Well, you're talking about.
I know my natural instincts, and Jim. she's an attractive girl, and I was drinking. I very well did, and I'm thinking I have nothing to say. Right. When they come up there, and I go, that's my kryptonite. That's my kryptonite, and that's why sometimes when you jump to conclusions, you can avoid some of these things, but when you're drunk, you can't. It just happens. Ugh. I didn't know that was your sister. I didn't know that was your daughter. I didn't know that was your mom. All those things I've said.
Sober Jim has said.
No, a sober Jim, if he was drunk too much, I didn't know anything.
Right. So that's what I was saying. This whole meme was like, if you had a problem with sober Jim, don't have a discussion with it with drunk Jim or vice versa. They don't know each other. Yeah, my brain, definitely the higher centers of my brain would shut down, but the limbic system would just keep on trucking and doing stuff. And people have they if they didn't know me, they thought I was probably someone of below average intelligence, but I was just doing what I do. I may have had a couple drinks. If they knew me, they knew I was fucked up, right? Because they knew I wouldn't say those things and do those things when I was sober. It doesn't mean. Luckily, I never got this thing. It says, the next day, it say, Jim, you beat the shit out of a guy when you were drunk.
I never had that.
Oh,
or you.
So you're not. So you're not a mean drunk. Are you? You're like a funny.
I'm
drunk?
not a violent one.
Are you?
I'm affectionate.
You're an affectionate drunk. Okay.
I'm affectionate.
So you love everybody.
Well, it doesn't happen. The nice thing about it, I don't have to do that anymore. Not because of I'm not saying I'm cured of anything. It's just I know now. It's just the easy after years of practice of demonstration, years of experimentation. I realized that if I went out and drank 8 bottles of Budweiser and 8 Old Granddads on the Rock, then there are a lot of things would happen. A lot of things would happen, and a lot of them would be undocumented because it was pre-2000. Because not everyone had
evidence.
No one had recorders on them and video cameras and
they might be part of the Dead
holy
Sea Scrolls.
Shit! That's what we said on previous episodes. They would have existed forever.
Right.
They would existed forever. And I was around with video cameras, but then who the fuck walks around with a video camera all the time?
Even so, even
if you did, you get your ass kicked if you walked into a crowded bar.
Right. With a video camera. Well,
a video camera. If you in Northeast Philadelphia,
would even have the capability to replay the old videotapes. I mean, because like the cameras, it's not like they held an entire VHF. They were like these little ones that you'd have.
Well, they got those stereo plugs. You know, the 3 plug. I mean, the thing. I know how to do that. I had a brief stint at Radio Shack.
Oh, there you go. That's right.
I do know a little basic electronics. You can take basic signals from VHS, Betamax, and things like that. And there's, as we speak right now, around the world, there's a big industry for the conversion of tapes. I mean, the old school was CDs. I mean, DVDs.
DVDs.
Yeah, they're loading them onto DVDs, and they go, first we'll take your tape and load it on DVD. Now it's on thumb drives. Why not? You don't have to. It's a.
Or it's just like
you can put everything on a 1 terabyte thumb drive.
Gippies.
Everything.
We could have old Jim Giffies. That would be really cool.
But no, there wasn't a lot of stuff I did crazy on a. Well, there's some out there. There's some interesting. I do have one, and I may post. I have a videotape from the cruise I was on 2 years ago. It was 2 years ago this next summer. And during I don't know how they asked. They asked, I was I went on it was the first year I did Keys Bartender.
Okay.
And I did a couple episodes at sea. And the main one, I told you I lost the main thing with the cruise director.
Okay.
I had a great interview with the cruise director in the main room, and I fucked it up. I fucked up because I was uploading it and I didn't save it or something. I didn't save it to the laptop I had. Yeah. I just tried to save it there, and when it was uploading, I lost connection on the boat, and I didn't do it. But they had me judging a bartending contest. Oh. Yeah, they had me doing a couple things there, and one of them was I was head of my own synchronized swim team. I was at a competition up against 3 other teams.
That's awesome.
Yeah, my team won, but I had a ace in the hole because this guy did that for 5 years. 5 years she was on the synchronized swimming team, and I just said, "Okay, we're going to do 4 simple movements." We're going to do them in sync. The rest of them, they were just making up as they go along, but no one knew what they were doing. I said, we're just going to do 1 with the left, 1 to the right, lift the guy straight up, have him, if you get some water in your mouth, I wouldn't get any water in your mouth from the pool because a lot of people pee in it. There was a lot of kids in there. But if you have a bottle of water, maybe that'd be good. You could do a little fountain thing from there. That would be good. And then the last one we do, we'll kick around in a circle, and then when we get together on 3, when I yell 3, we'll all dive back and do a starfish or whatever they call it. And we won.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and I gave my trophy to one of the losing teams.
Oh.
And Sky wasn't happy with that.
Oh.
Because I thought she thought she was going to be on it. I said, well, Sky was a synchronized swimmer. I'm not a synchronized swimmer. So all the stuff doesn't translate. You know, you're really good, but I can synchronize it to a bunch of middle-aged guys and guys in their 20s. Then I'll make simple movements and do that. Back to the theme in the beginning. If I feel stupid, turn on the C-SPAN.
So you technically have been a synchronized swimmer.
Yes, I have.
That's you have to add that to your.
I got the video.
You have to add that to your.
I
resume.
have the video. I will put it.
We need to turn it into like a GIF of like you diving one direction with all of your peeps and put it on the show.
You said all the peeps.
It's all your peeps.
I thought you said pubes.
Peeps.
I said, I don't have those because I don't have all my pubes.
From previous episodes.
Oh yes.
I'm sorry. You know what it is? I have the man cold. My husband has been down for like 4 days with the man cold, which of course means that he's in bed. And he didn't whine this time, but he was in bed for a good 4 days.
Yeah, and it was his first week training.
Yeah, and then he just
with
was
me.
Like,
he worked with me, and he found out. Oh wait, did we talk about it last?
Well, you guys
on last show?
Yeah, it's kind of talked about a little bit that he was working.
Yeah, and I'm pretty much the same way.
Yeah, with you as a.
I think Tyler could give evidence that I'm the same way.
Oh yes.
That
you are at work.
And at work. And people, when you're friendly and stuff like that, people think they can say shit to you.
Yeah.
But I go and say, well, okay, hold it. Say, it's like a little kid comes up and they start punching you, and they, you don't really feel it, and then they start hurting you by hitting you in the nuts, and then you're gonna.
As Ty laughs from behind me.
Yeah. They hit you in the nuts, and then you're gonna say, we're gonna have to stop it some way. So there was a couple of people like, oh yeah, it's funny, all good fun. I go, oh wait a second, you hit a sore one there, and then I rip into them and said, like, you motherfucker, I'm gonna get you, and I do. I said, do you really want to continue doing this? Like, it was in Family Vacation when Clark Griswold goes to the old West Town, and he goes, oh yeah, get me a sarsaparilla, pantyhose, and the guy brings out a double-gauge shotgun. A double-barrel shotgun and a double-gauge shotgun. I don't fuck on what I'm talking. Double-barrel shotgun and levels it at Clark and blast him. I thought it was good. Like, brings it up.
They were going to Wally World.
Yep. And I heard, did I mention the comment? The weirdest thing I heard was someone suggest, I heard a pickup line.
Oh. Okay, a new pickup line.
Yeah.
All right.
It was the raunchiest one I've ever heard used as a intro to someone. They were very charming in the beginning, talking about how pretty the girl was and stuff. And she was kind of open and friendly, and she was laughing. And then he just left it at his final thing before he crashed and burned was, I'm going to say this.
Okay.
I'm going to tongue punch you so hard in your fart box.
That's so like 10 years ago.
I know, but I mean, that lead with that in the first thing. You don't even know the person.
I'm going to tongue punch you in your fart box.
Yeah.
Sounds like, yeah.
I mean, it's not exactly. It's not like putting the glass slipper on Cinderella's foot, and you go, "Well, you are my Prince Charming, obviously." Did you mean it?
Really?
You're gonna do that? Oh, that's sweet.
Like right here in
the
bathroom.
Are you gonna bite my nipples too? Oh, that's so sweet.
Yummy.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to eat your asshole so good. Hey, isn't that great?
As Damon
walks in. Yeah. I was talking about the pickup line I heard. This week. Oh, this is interesting. Someone went, there we go. No, some guy said to a girl at the end of, he had her on the hook almost, but then he said he was going to tongue punch her in her fart box. And I'm like, oh, wow, you're so almost not Clark Gable-ish, which kind of suave. This guy, didn't have it. At the end, it's like he totally lost it. It was like one of those motocross guys. They're doing so nice. So, the X Game guys, they're doing really great. And all of a sudden, it's like, what the fuck happened? All of a sudden, you see arms and legs and bike going up and stuff like that. This guy crashed. And there's so many other things he could have said and gotten away with it.
Right.
So,
sorry, Damon's face, if you could imagine anyone, the most animated facial expressions of anyone that I've ever met in my entire life.
Really?
Just the look on his face.
Yeah. Damon walked in, and we was it nipple? What was it? Bite?
No, you said.
Eating asshole. Hey, listen, this is why I have a podcast. These things I'd never said before, now I can say it.
Right, because we have labeled it explicit.
Where we have people say it's explicit. And if I didn't say it, someone would say, why didn't Jim say it? Why did he hold back on that one? So we had some really cute dogs come into the restaurant.
Dogs.
Oh,
okay.
Not women.
Dogs.
Real
woof.
dogs.
Like woof,
puppies
woof,
and
bark,
all that
bark.
stuff. One was a little Chihuahua thing, and
emotional support dog.
No. I mean, we're dog friendly and stuff like that. They're not allowed to sit on the tables and stuff like that. They come in and they're well behaved, but one guy brings a big ass dog in and he sits him right in front of the bathroom and stuff like that. And it's a good dog, but it is huge. I mean, it's got to be 2 times the size, about 120, 130 pounds.
Oh, yeah. Hoagie's like a 50-pounder.
Yeah, it is a 120, 130-pound dog. Comes in with the dog. It's on a Saturday night, and I'm like, yeah, and it may be an emotional support dog. It may be. But I think it's pretty much someone to protect him or something like that. And what emotion are you protecting? Is it from keeping you to be once again to being an asshole? Because I'm telling you, the act of bringing the big fucking dog in is the act of an asshole. So the dog's doing its job because it's supporting you being an asshole.
I bet you anything the dog is trained to bite him in the asshole if he says tongue punch you in the fart box.
No, this guy actually would say that stuff. This guy would think.
The reason that's really funny is, of course, you know that Papa Joe, who's over here, has not picked up a mic, but it was a dog handler as a state trooper.
Yeah.
So emotional support, my ass is pretty much his. There we go. Now he picks up the mic. Hi, Papa.
Yeah.
Hi,
So
Papa.
I had an emotional support dog. I had 4 of them in my career.
Yeah.
And it emotionally supported me to take bad guys to jail.
I know. Well,
directly.
Yeah, those dogs were there to chase down criminals, find them,
emotional support animal.
It's a support. It's actually a support animal. Actually,
it is a support animal. It supported my emotions.
No, actually, even more so than emotional support. Really?
The
You think about it, they were supporting your.
You can go to a website, right, and apply, and put in your symptoms. Check the boxes. It says, "Oh well, I'm schizophrenic. I'm bipolar. I'm this. I'm that." Some of them may be a little bit more necessary, like there are seizure dogs and things like that. But you can literally go online and check the few boxes that tells them what your mental illness is, and please make my dog a support dog, and then you pay your fee, and then they send you a certificate. And once you have that certificate, you can actually order them all of their labels and garb. Yeah, and their little
You're
jackets.
allowed to ask. Now you're allowed to ask in the state of Florida what function does, and emotional support really doesn't necessarily meet those. It has to be a disability or maybe a seizure dog.
Seizure dog.
PTSD. That would be a good answer to someone if you got a dog that's prone to seizures.
Right.
And you just say,
well, not a dog that's prone
no,
to seizures.
no, but you could say it. You don't have to lie. No, I know that. I know that's what it is, but you could truthfully answer, that's my seizure dog. That's my seizure dog. And no lie. And they go, and all of a sudden, the dog would start going into getting all the shakes and stuff like that, and you just go, see, there it goes. It's my seizure dog. Seizure dog. Or a monkey.
It's my seizure monkey.
You know, there's monkeys that feed, the ones that help paraplegics and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Help them eat and all that, or whatever to do. Which is kind of...
Which is weird because monkeys are like known to be assholes.
Yeah, they can.
Like,
Imagine
right?
if they just decided
Like,
to
they're
piss
like-
off and throw shit at you.
You're
They
hungry.
can start feeding you
Eat
shit in my
this.
shit. And
Or
on
they
the,
could like hold a grape in front of your face and be like, oh, I'm not giving you this.
there's a
Monkeys are mean, dude. Like,
on the segue from that and the animals, they're making animals music. They actually make music for cats and dogs, and that they know that cats and dogs they don't like the same type of music, but they know for one thing, monkeys like Metallica for some reason. Monkeys like Metallica.
They're like freaking little spazzy headbangers, right?
I just want to meet who wrote the funding for government funds for those
To
studies.
figure out.
Well, actually, that's a better one than trying about earthworms and shit like that. To find out,
Really, what music your dog and cat and monkey want to hear?
well, if you think about the pet industry, how much people spend on their pets,
I'd rather know
industry-wise.
I'd rather know the earthworm, because if I have to go fishing, I want to know what to play to get the earthworms to come up.
Oh, the music. I'm not saying their study, for an earthworm. It could be. They can do all sorts of things with
Hey,
an
man,
earthworm.
I won't knock the study. I just want to
Yeah.
know who was it that wrote the grant,
All right.
because you got to be pretty talented.
Yes, you do.
You have to be a wordsmith
Yeah.
to get that one to pass.
I think the title of the show, I think this may be a good time to introduce it. And since Papa Joe doesn't know it, that would be, I can tell him the whole story and we'll give a little setup.
Yes.
For anybody that didn't listen a couple weeks ago, we went to the tattoo parlor
That was
in
last
South
week.
of Heaven.
Yes.
It's a great show. On last Tuesday, I was dead set on a Celtic band, but then I thought,
We were looking at swords.
yeah, we're looking
Yeah.
at swords and stuff like that.
But now
Tribal symbols.
yes, well, tribal Celtic, and then we decided, maybe the crossing swords.
So you didn't get a tattoo
So
while you were there?
we
Oh yeah,
did.
no, I did.
Although-
we're going to go through the whole detail.
Okay.
So she
I found this really cool.
don't give it up yet. Though what the answer?
design
Yeah,
with two crossing
with
swords.
with a circle with kind of a circle,
Yeah, kind of a
with
circle
like a
around it.
flourish on it. It was real kind of Nordic or
Yes, it
or
was very-
Gaelic or
it
what
was
something
very
like that. It
Nord.
was definitely a tribal tattoo with no particular message other than it looked cool.
Just two swords crossing.
Look cool with the circle in it. So I'm thinking, oh yeah, that's the one, and it's black, so it's not a lot of color, and
Yeah.
it's perfect.
Simple, neat,
right on
clean.
clean, simple.
Yes.
So the day of I go back and forth do a sound check. I didn't get to see him before then. I was going to email it to him, but he says all he needed like 10 minutes to see it, and then he would draw it up and bring out a stencil and all that. So. Anthony, I got there, and Anthony did a great job, and he was real comfortable. And we were talking, and right before we started to get into the tattoo thing, he asked to see it. And it's on my phone, and
Yes, it's on mine as well.
yeah. And
Should I show it to
not
Papa?
not yet, because it was. Well, you can show it to him. Show it just as I show it to him. So I bring it up, and he, not 5 seconds, he goes, "There's a problem right there. Do you spot the problem right there?" Okay.
Yes.
What is it?
It's a swastika.
There's a fucking
Dang.
swastika in the middle
In
of
the
it.
middle.
In the middle of the tattoo.
Look, can I just... That's a white supremacist tattoo.
Yes.
Hey,
I figured that too.
Papa, hold your mic. There you go.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't get it.
I didn't know either.
The worst thing in the world is funny thing about it. He goes,
I mean,
"You didn't want that, did you?" And I go, "No, I did not." And the worst thing I had, if I did get it, I would have had it on my body. Even if I got it covered up, I would have known it was underneath. And that would have bothered me more than anything.
Of course it would.
It just would have bothered me forever. And, fixing one, if you made a bad decision when you were younger, thank God I was never an asshole that would have intentionally done that. But I didn't want to accidentally do it either. And he pointed out, and then we came up with this one. And I did post it. It's on the site. I think I posted it on Facebook. But I will post the picture of it there.
right.
Can I ask, why do you have them pointing down versus pointing up?
Oh,
Any reason, or...
No reason. I think it's less violent. When it sounds swords down, you're not ready to. It's like you're waiting.
Well, to me, it would be a symbol of compromise, peace, negotiation.
Yeah,
Right,
exactly.
right, like-
yeah,
But
and if
instead of
swords
a
up,
coat
mean
of-
you're always ready to fight.
Even if up and cross, that means you're ready.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, you still have a sword, so you can be ready,
No,
but
warriors at some point have to negotiate, come to peace.
I thought it was
that's
more,
what I felt when the swords
Yeah.
were down. I
I
like
thought
that.
when
You
the
don't-
swords were down, it was more
What?
like a coat of arms. You know what I mean? Like a peacekeeper is what I thought when I saw them.
I mean, there are coat
Right.
of arms where the swords are in the shield going down.
In the
and
right.
In the shield going up, I believe that is a war posture versus in the shield going down.
Right.
Is different.
Yeah.
Now I'll have to describe.
Well, that's what in my head. So that's I looked at it and said, "Oh, sword's going down. That's good." I was happy with it. But then I thought in my head though the whole time, what would have fucking happened if I
Right.
did that? How would I have felt? And what if we didn't spot it?
Well, and they
And why did they didn't
it was
spot
the
it then?
tattoo
Hey,
guy
man, thank God for
that
the,
spotted
tattoo
it.
artist
And
who
mind
spotted
you,
it.
I got this at Vector Stock. I mean, like we were just looking up cool sword idea tattoos.
Yeah, and I think
None
they may
of
not.
us
I don't think they
actually-
picked it up. Vector Stock, yeah.
And they obviously They probably
it's
didn't
a-
notice it.
it's a
Now,
nationalist-
if you imagine, it would make it. Obviously, we don't have the picture displayed, so for the
Which
listeners,
would have been all right if I was right before I went into prison and I needed to go belong to a gang. I don't know if the Latin Kings would have me, but I do speak a little Spanish,
You do.
and I do also get along with my African American brethren. I don't know how they'd feel about having me as a member. But
You know, it's not.
there's not.
I don't think
I'm
that's-
just thinking at like one of those Tom Selleck
Swords.
movie where he ended up going to prison. He was a police officer or something like that, or something. He ended up going accidentally to prison, or getting
Was
set
that
up.
Tom Selleck?
I have
Tom
no
Selleck was
idea.
in one where he,
Now, mind you,
Was
if you
innocent.
were to picture yourself basket weaving, okay, and this is probably the best way to describe it for the listeners, because this would be like two swords basket weaved in the middle
yeah,
as they cross in the shape of an X, and that is how.
yeah, like half the sword's going through half the sword.
Exactly. So it's like
And
you
they-
weaved
and they-
it
and they did it
through,
on purpose.
And because of that, the empty space that leaves in the middle of the weave, in the X in the middle, creates that swastika, which I didn't see, Jim didn't see, nobody saw except for the tattoo guy.
Well, we saw it. We saw it at night. It was dark,
Right.
And we said, "Oh, that's pretty cool. It's tribal," and it was tribal. It was the wrong tribe.
right. Yeah, it was definitely
It was the wrong tribe that I would have.
My
gotten
thought
into.
was, how horrible would that be? Because you were about to go on vacation to Poland.
Yeah, my father told me. My father
Yeah,
told me.
the face that Papa is
My
making right now.
father told
Yeah,
me.
that would not have
He
been-
said
No.
he says before I go to Poland, he goes, Jim, they're having some problems over there because they're so close to Russia, and they have interesting things going on in Poland. It's not exactly they're traditionally an enemy of Russia, but the people that are in power are cozying up to Russia, but a large section of the population do not like Russians, so it's give or take. And then they also have a natural kind of thing about the Germans, because the Germans had a propensity to
Yeah.
make incursions into their space.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? They didn't get the right
I don't
personal
think they've
space. They didn't get an idea.
forgotten- they haven't
The
forgotten
Germans did not
1939.
understand what.
They haven't forgotten 1939.
No,
1939
they have
or-
not.
No, but a
They
lot of
definitely
Poles that love America. They love Americans. They're very American friendly.
Yes.
Many
yes.
of them speak English.
Yes, exactly.
And we do, it is one of our better allies as far as the Eastern Bloc countries, former Eastern Bloc countries.
Yes.
But I'm sure, I don't know this for sure, but
Well, Poland
if
al-
I had to guess, I would say it has its share of nationalist movements. And
Yeah, but because of the neighborhood they're in, there's a history of Poland making alliances with people that would offset the powers of their neighbors. So prior to World War II, they had an agreement with France and Britain with the way the Germans were going. So they when you had they had a regional actually a problem at the border, which was a precursor to German invasion to Poland and Russia had they had the I forgot the name of the treaty. But Molotov, the foreign minister of the Soviet Union, they made an agreement with Ribbentrop, the foreign minister of the Nazi Reich. They agreed to invade Poland at the same time. And virtually impossible to have two large countries invade you simultaneously when you had your cavalry wasn't tanks yet. It was still horses. They had some tanks.
And swords, hopefully not in the shape
Well,
of
they had
swastikas.
guns. They had guns. They had guns, but and they had planes,
Right.
but they didn't have enough of them to put a simultaneous defense when you're being attacked from both sides. The pincer movement just devastating. But me showing up with
a
swastika,
very low key. I mean, it would have taken the right eye to
see it. Actually, if I had a hammer and sickle, they would probably react the same way.
Oh,
but my father said, "Hey,
Yeah,
listen, when you arrive," he says he knows how I am. He says, "Jim, I know how you are. Please don't incite anything when you're over there." I said, "First of all, I don't speak the language,
Right.
so it'd be hard for me to incite anything. And I know the name of their president, but I don't think I'm going to cause a problem. But if I did get that one tattoo, that would have been."
I think that would have been an uncomfortable conversation piece leading into other
going to a family,
situations.
and I'm going to a family wedding.
Agree.
Yeah,
Right?
Yeah,
Yeah, especially
Yes.
the way that all these groups communicate on the internet, and there is no, regional uniqueness to, let's say, an Aryan Nation group.
Well, I didn't want to be in the next episode of Locked Up Abroad.
No.
And I could see that face and go, "Well, Jim didn't know that."
Then all of a sudden it would be no more Jim on the podcast, and I would be hosting. I'd be like, "Well, Jim is still in."
You could just show a picture of me,
prison,
whatever the mugshot,
the mugshot, your
mugshot,
Polish
Poland.
mugshot.
We crowdsource some money for you. Don't worry, we get you.
We
out.
would. I mean, I would open a GoFundMe.
I don't
page
have
for you.
enough. I don't have enough listeners yet to get me out and cause a stir. Maybe next year when that happens.
Here's what you do: go to Poland, piss someone off, go to jail. Don't worry, we'll get your listeners up.
Yeah. Well, you know what? They're somewhat constitutional over there, so I might be able to get some recordings out. Well, listen, we're at 42 minutes, so I think we should start hawking our iTunes and not hawking up loogies. Come on.
I know. Well, I have my man cold right now, except for I'm a female with a man cold, so I still went to work
fucking
today.
sick. Everyone, it's weird. It's the one thing.
Yeah, I was actually going to try to take the day off tomorrow. You know what my boss said? He goes, I'm not coming in tomorrow. And I'm like, oh, well, I was going to try to stay home with my man cold tomorrow. And he said, well, why don't you just leave right now? It was 5:30. I close at 6. I was like, thanks for the 30 minutes.
Okay, better than.
Thanks.
Sweetheart.
Are you going to be getting home at 6 now from on? Yeah. I'm not saying I wouldn't come over at 6. But if you do come home, just call me and I'll be over and we can do the show earlier.
We can do it. Well, I was here earlier today.
Yeah, you know. Yeah. I asked Tyler if he can come over, and we're just trying to get out an episode, and then things are going to be changing shortly, just tiny,
just a little
bit. Not to be obtuse, where we have an agreement in the works with a media company, and. I don't think we're going to change too much the nature of the show, but we do ask. It really would help if you leave reviews. Anybody,
please leave reviews.
I mean, just one review from one person every time.
Yes.
We do have, for some reason, we have a steady listening audience in Brazil, Sao Paulo, Brazil.
Wow.
Well, we have expatriates all over the world.
And
we haven't had any in from Iran recently.
I was just thinking that
no
maybe
China.
the Brazilians like that whole, fart box comment.
And eating someone's asshole.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, listen, that's...
Maybe we're appealing to
Oh, come on. Now you're insulting the Brazilian
I am
thing.
not.
They're not all about...
They're, I mean, if I was like a hot Brazilian, I'd probably be a little more bold. It's all right.
There's a couple of hot Brazilians I'd consider eating their asshole.
No, what I'm suggesting is that
What are
we're
you trying
saying
to say?
Brazilians aren't one-dimensional just because you said eating ass. There's plenty of Americans that are going to go, assholes, I'm into that.
I want to eat that.
It's just like, it doesn't have to be
I
a
was just
Brazilian.
giving them
It could be
crap.
Canadian. It could be French. It could be Irish.
But
Especially
of course
Russian.
We need the reviews, though. We need iHeartRadio, Spotify, iTunes.
We will tongue punch you in
In
your
the
fart
fart
box
box if
you leave us
a
some
review.
A good one.
A good one, yes.
A good one, because you won't get tongue punching and fart box.
And hi, Alyssa. I'm sorry your daughter is sick. She was going to
Oh,
join
that's
us
great.
tonight.
Right after we said tongue punching and fart box. Oh,
Alyssa.
your daughter.
It made me think of Alyssa. I'm sorry your daughter is sick. She was going to try to join us today. She's the one that usually sends me funny memes while we're actually on the air.
And you thought about just when it said
it
tongue
just made
punching
me
and
think
fart
of
box.
it. Well, we're wrapping up. And I want to say hi to my curly friend, Jen. She is now a regular listener from Hugo, Minnesota.
Hi, Jen.
Hi, Jen.
Yeah. Oh, bring the family around there, just like they used to do with Little Orphan Annie. And listen, I was talking about it. Assholes and fart boxes and masturbating monkeys.
It just gets better.
It gets better.
Well,
okay,
we won't throw poop at you.
No,
unless
well,
you don't leave us
we
a
will
review.
unless you want us to. If that's what it takes to get a
review?
I'll throw a little shit at you. A lot of shit, maybe.
A lot of shit.
Yeah, I'll throw some shit.
Some handfuls.
Yeah. Oh well. On that happy note.
On that happy note.
Till next time.
Until next time.